Welcome guys and gals, and today we are going to be talking about the future of the DCU, since today, as of this recording, the plans for at least part of the plans for Chapter 1 of the new DCU have been revealed. And I'm probably not going to waste much time because there's a lot to talk about, and I honestly can't wait because some of this stuff, it's like, okay, it's expected. Other things were like, wow, this is kind of out of nowhere. So let's just go ahead and not waste any time and let's just get into it. So real quick, I just wanted to mention that I'm only talking about the things that are going to be in this connected universe, so I'm not going to really talk much about the Batman sequel and things like that. The Elseworld stuff, as they're calling it, which makes sense. Just so you know, real quick, it is going to be called the Batman Part 2. As of now, I wouldn't be surprised if they change the name of it, but as of now, that's what it's called. It's supposed to come out in October, I think, of 2024, 2025, something like that. But in this one, we're just going to be talking about all of the stuff in the connected universe. So first things first, the first chapter of the DCU is going to be called Gods and Monsters, and I like that title. Of course, that's a title that's been used before, but I do like it, especially with some of the projects that are being utilized, especially on the monsters side of things. It makes sense. Well, I guess the gods too, because there's definitely a mixture of gods and monsters in this, and I'm way more interested in the monster side of it because there's a few of these I'm really excited about. So I do like the name of this chapter. Once again, they've only revealed part of Chapter 1. They haven't revealed the whole thing. So this is not everything that's going to be in the Gods and Monsters chapter, but this is just part of it as of now. So first things first, and this one was very interesting to me, and we're going to be getting a Creature Commandos animated TV show. And just in case you do not know, all of these projects are supposed to be connected in some way, whether it's live action, animated, or even video games. They can connect to one another, and they can have characters jump from live action to animation, or animation to live action, video games to live action. You get my point. And so this one is going to be animated to start, which, kind of surprises me given how we know how the CEO of Warner Brothers feels about animation right now. But regardless, we are going to get a Creature Commandos animated show. Very interesting. I am intrigued by it. I do know of the Creature Commandos. I don't know if we're going to see Sergeant Rock or anything, but because he's kind of usually the one that leads the team. And basically, if you don't know who the Creature Commandos are, and this is on the monster side of thing, they're basically a group of like monsters. I mean, I know it sounds stupid to say that, but that's literally what they are. And it's like they're like some of the more iconic monsters, because you could have like literally Frankenstein, a werewolf, a vampire, things like that. It's literally just a group of monsters that go on these missions, and hence why they're called the Creature Commandos, because they're a military unit of monsters that get sent on these missions. So I'm very curious to see where this goes. And it's starting out in animation, but as I said, they could jump to live action. That's very possible. And I'm very intrigued by this one because it's kind of an odd one. And that's the thing with James Gunn, is like you knew he was going to pick some oddball ones, which there's more later. But I'm very intrigued with this. I do like the Creature Commandos, and I am very intrigued, especially since it's animated. Now, this next one we kind of knew was coming, and it's just titled Waller. And we kind of knew this a few months back, but because it was like leaked or it was a rumor or something like that. But that Amanda Waller show was going to be in the works. And obviously it's official now that it's happening, and Viola Davis is going to reprise her role. This is supposed to take place between seasons 1 and 2 of Peacemaker, because I guess she joins the Peacemaker team to deal with stuff. So, of course, if you don't know, Amanda Waller is the leader of Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. She's one of the top government officials in the DC universe, and she's kind of not a nice person. So, of course, I love Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. That's one of the most perfect casting choices for a comic book character. She's perfect for that role. And I'm very curious to see what she will do as she works with the Peacemaker team. So next up, we have one that we also knew was going to be happening, and that is Superman Legacy, the new Superman movie. And it's going to be written by James Gunn. We don't know who the director is yet. And I just really hope this feels more like Superman, because don't get me wrong, Henry Cavill, awesome as Superman. We're going to get a new Superman. I really hope this guy does not get a lot, because regardless of who gets cast, the dude's going to get a lot of hate regardless, because people are going to be upset because Henry Cavill's not Superman anymore. So I hope that person's ready for it. But I'm down for it. And I just hope it feels more like Superman, because Henry Cavill was like the embodiment of Superman. I'm more so referring to like the side characters, because no disrespect to Amy Adams, it's just I never really bought her Lois Lane or anything, so I want a better Lois Lane. We didn't really have a Jimmy Olsen, and just a better Metropolis in general, because I don't want it to feel like just like a New York City. I don't want it to feel like New York or Chicago. It's like I want it to feel like a character of its own, just like how Gotham was in The Batman. I want Metropolis in this new Superman movie to feel like its own character. I want it to look futuristic and bright and everything like that. As for The villains, we still have no idea because most of these we really don't know much. We just know that they're happening. I just do not want Lex Luthor as the main villain. That's all I'm going to ask. If he's a side character, that's fine, but I don't want him as the main villain. Give me somebody like Brainiac, Metallo, Parasite, any one of them. I just don't want Lex Luthor as the main villain, but obviously I won't be surprised if they go that route. So I do love the title. I'm very curious to see who they cast as the new Superman. Hopefully they don't get too much hate, but I'm afraid that they will. And if I had to dreamcast a director, I honestly would want Steven Spielberg because I know he's been talking to those folks over there. I think he'd be perfect for a Superman movie. But let me know who you want to direct this new Superman movie and if you like where this is going. Now, this is another one that's been rumored for a while, and we now know it is officially happening. There's going to be a Green Lantern TV show, and it's going to be titled Lanterns. Now, originally, it sounded like it was only going to focus on John Stewart, but now we know it's going to focus on both John Stewart and Hal Jordan, amongst other Lanterns that may show up. So Guy Gardner, for example, may show up as well, and people like that. But it's titled Lanterns. It's going to be a TV series, and so it's probably going to have a high budget, I would imagine, especially if they're going to be out in space a lot. Now, I'm more of a John Stewart guy myself, but I like both Hal Jordan and John Stewart. But I'm more of a John Stewart guy. Let me know who you like more, if you like Hal Jordan more or John Stewart. But finally, the Green Lanterns are getting some respect because I feel really bad for Green Lantern fans because they've just been through a lot, and they don't want the only memory of Green Lantern to be the one with Ryan Reynolds, okay? And it's just been a character that's been ignored for a really long time, especially for one of the bigger IP DC characters. So finally, the Green Lanterns are getting some love, and I kind of like that it's a TV show, if I'm being honest with you, because there is a lot of lore there, and I feel like with the TV show, they can explore a lot more, and then obviously I would definitely imagine they will eventually jump to the big screen. I just feel like they want to start with a TV show so then they can explore more of the lore and the backstory and things like that. And I think James Gunn described it as kind of a true detective, sort of. So it's like they must be investigating something in space. We don't know what that is yet because there's a lot of threats in space in the DC universe. So it could be something like Darkseid or, Star. Well, I mean, they already did Starro, technically. But whatever. We don't know exactly what it'll be. But I'm very excited. I'm not necessarily the biggest Green Lantern fan, but I do feel for Green Lantern fans because I know they've been struggling. They haven't had any love for Green Lantern in such a long time. And as I said, they don't want the last memory of Green Lantern to be the Ryan Reynolds movie. So I'm very stoked to see Hal Jordan and John Stewart. And like I said, I'm sure we'll see Guy Gardner and some of these other ones as well. But I'm definitely down for that. I think it'll be an awesome TV series. I don't know if it'll mostly focus on Earth with just little space time or if there will be a lot of space. So I'm very curious to see where this show is going to go. Next up, this was a very odd one. In my opinion, I feel like this was probably the oddest out of all of the announcements, if I'm being honest with you. Because even though I am a big DC fan, I've never heard of the Authority. I've never heard of them. But, there's nothing wrong with that. So, basically, from what I can understand, the Authority is essentially a group of, quote-unquote, heroes that, they don't do saving the world in the best intentions. So, basically, to me, it sounds something like The Boys. I know there's other things that are like this too, don't get me wrong, but it's just The Boys is the most notorious as of right now, that it's probably going to be that kind of route where it's like, yeah, they think they're heroes and whatnot, but then it's like they just kill a bunch of people and there's so much collateral damage and things like that. It basically sounds like it's something like that where they believe they're heroes, but it's like they just cause way too much damage. Not to say normal superheroes don't cause damage, but like just way overboard. So I myself do not know much about the Authority. I'm sure I'll read more into them and whatnot, but that's basically what it sounds like. Very odd choice in my opinion, but once again with James Gunn, it's like you knew they were going to pick some odd ones. And yeah, it's like I don't know how this one's going to go, but very odd choice. We'll see if it pays off. Now this one was interesting to me. So for those Wonder Woman fans out there, we're going to be getting a Paradise Lost TV series. And it's supposed to take place, I believe, before Wonder Woman, a.k.a. Diana Prince, leaves the island. So I'm all for that. I mean, I do like Wonder Woman. Of course, she's a massive icon. And it would be kind of nice to see the backstory and how everything works on the island, Themyscira, before she leaves the island and, going through all the training and all the rituals and things like that. And James Gunn described it as sort of kind of like a Game of Thrones and Westeros kind of feel and whatnot. I could believe that because, they're a bunch of warriors and it's older buildings and things like that. So I'm very curious. Now, as of right now, I am not sure what they're going to do with Wonder Woman when it comes to the cast. I don't know if they're going to keep Gal Gadot or if they're going to recast her. That we don't know as of right now. But I'm very intrigued to get more of the backstory on Paradise Island, aka Themyscira. So, yeah, and I just really wonder if they're going to recast Wonder Woman or not. Because I personally, no disrespect to Gal, I would kind of like a new Wonder Woman. It's just, she looks the part, but it's just her acting's not the greatest. So I would be down for a new Wonder Woman. But if they keep Gal, it's not the worst thing either. So I'm very interested to see more of the backstory of the Amazons. So now let me have my inner Batman fan come out, because I'm a huge Batman fan in case you did not know. And we knew we were going to be getting a new Batman in this DCU. And this next Batman movie is titled Brave and the Bold. And why I like that is because usually Brave and the Bold, it shows him working with other heroes in the comics. So I'm very curious to see if there will be any other heroes that show up. But the main thing that people are going to be talking about with this, not only it's a new Batman, but also we are finally getting a Robin on the big screen again. It's been ages. Now, I know this may be a hot take, but I myself, because we were getting Damian Wayne as the Robin, at least in this movie. I don't like Damian Wayne. Like, no offense, like, I'm that guy. I know he's kind of a mixed bag character, but I've never cared for Damian Wayne. I mean, he does kind of have an interesting backstory, but he's by far my least favorite Robin. I would honestly rather have Jason Todd than Damian Wayne. That's just me. I know there's a lot of people who love Damian Wayne, but at least for me, I don't like Damian Wayne, but I'll deal with it. But what I'm really hoping for is, since they are going to be bringing in this Robin for Damian Wayne, that it definitely leaves the door open for the rest of the Bat family to show up. So we could see Dick Grayson, and by that point he would be Nightwing. We could see Jason Todd as Red Hood. We could see Barbara as Batgirl. So I think there is a very good possibility we will see the Bat family, because the Bat family is something that Warner Brothers has pretty much never wanted to do, especially since the Schumacher Batman movies. They have been very scared to go that route again. So I'm very curious to see if they will introduce the Bat family, because they're at least going to start with Robin, Damian Wayne. We know that for sure. But I would put a high bet that there's going to be the other Bat family members as well. Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl, whomever. So very intriguing. I know they're going to explore Damian's, assassin side, and very curious to see how they handle that. But once again, I'm not the biggest fan of Damian. It is what it is. But I'm more so intrigued, since it's called The Brave and the Bold, if he's going to be working with other heroes. Because typically in the comics, that's what it is. Or if you've watched the animated TV show, that he usually works with a bunch of other heroes. So I'm very curious to see if he does. I would love to see that. And if he does, I wonder who it'll be. But as of right now, I'm very intrigued with this. Once again, Damian's not my most favorite Robin, but I'll deal with it. I'm just happy to see the Bat family on the big screen again. That's all I'm going to ask, and hopefully it pays off. Okay, so this next one I love so much, honestly, because this one to me was funny and probably one of the most exciting ones for me. And that was because it was either James Gunn who asked, or there was a poll or something about asking fans, who would you want to see the most in the DCU or whatever? And no joke, it was Booster Gold was number one. And that's why it's so funny to me. So we are officially getting a Booster Gold TV show. I'm all for that. I love Booster Gold so much. For those who don't know, he's basically a, quotation mark, hero from the future, that he's not a great hero there. He comes back to the past thinking he can be a good hero here, and he's still not a great hero here as well. So this will definitely be a show that goes more of the comedic route for the DC Universe, which is fine. I want there to be a variety of tones and whatnot, and we're definitely getting that with this chapter. But definitely comedy, and there's already people joking that it's going to be Chris Pratt as Booster Gold. I'm not saying I can completely rule that out, but I would honestly want somebody else. So I'm totally down for seeing some Booster Gold in live action with his little robot Skeets. It's like, I would love to see that. I cannot wait to see that. That to me was one of the better things that got announced. I can't wait to see some Booster Gold. And as I said previously, of course, it's starting out as a TV show, but could easily jump to the big screen movies or animation. They can just keep jumping around because they want to emphasize keeping the same actors. So whoever they cast for this TV show, if they go to the movies or to animation, it'll be the same actor. So I'm definitely down to see some Booster Gold. Okay, so next up, we knew we were getting a Superman movie, and that's officially announced, but we are also going to be getting a Supergirl movie, which that was rumored for a while. Now, my whole thing is, I don't know if it's going to be a new Supergirl, or is it the Supergirl that's going to be in the Flash movie. That's what I don't know for sure as of this recording, because I'm literally recording this like right after this stuff came out. I know it probably would have been a better idea to wait, but I don't know if it's going to be a new Supergirl or not. But regardless, Supergirl is going to be getting her own movie, and sure, why not? Might as well. I do like Supergirl, and hopefully, I really hope they show that bond, or whatever you want to say, that chemistry between her and Superman. I want to see them having those family moments or whatever, since they're the last people of Krypton, and I really hope they showcase those moments, and because I would not be surprised if Superman were to show up in her movie. As of right now, we do not know like if she's going to be coming to Earth yet, or if it's going to be her on some other planet. We don't know yet, but I'm down for Supergirl, I guess. But yeah, to me, that's the most intriguing thing, is I don't know if it's going to be a new Supergirl or the one that's in the Flash. It doesn't make a difference to me, honestly, but we are getting a Supergirl movie. Now, last of all, this is the one that really delves into the horror aspect of this Gods and Monsters chapter. We are going to be getting a Swamp Thing movie. That to me was a little surprising, because didn't really expect that. Well, I mean, there's a good amount of these I didn't expect, but Swamp Thing is a very interesting character. And they basically said, James Gunn basically said that this is going to be one that they're going to go the full horror route, which thank goodness, because as I said earlier, I want them to go with a variety of tones, because there's going to be some comedy with like Booster Gold, there's going to be some lighter stuff with like Superman, and then there's going to be the horror stuff with like the Creature Commandos and now Swamp Thing. So I really cannot wait to see how this works, because I really hope it's practical effects. I think that, because like they did with the TV show, because there was a TV show for Swamp Thing. I'm not referring to like the really old stuff. I'm referring to like the one that was on DC Universe. They did practical effects and it looks so good. I'm very curious to see if it's practical or if it's CGI. I really hope it's practical, because that just works so much better. And now this is going to go the full horror route, it sounds like, and I would really love if this would introduce us to the Justice League Dark. So that would be characters like Constantine, Deadman, Zatanna, amongst others. I really hope it opens the door for that, because I really want to see Justice League Dark. And I do really appreciate that they're going to be embracing the horror aspect with this, because DC does great when it comes to horror. Like, they have some awesome horror stories and horror characters, and I love that they're embracing that. So I cannot wait to see how this pans out. I love that it's going the full horror route. Once again, I hope it's a practical suit and not full CGI, because I just feel like it'd be way more effective if it's all practical. And very curious to see where they go with that story and like how they go the horror route. So yeah, Swamp Thing was one of the more interesting ones. Didn't expect that at all, but once again, didn't really expect most of these. But I am very intrigued about Swamp Thing, especially if it opens the door to the Justice League Dark characters, which I hope it does, because I would love to see those characters, especially Zatanna and Constantine. Because I know Constantine, there's a Keanu Reeves thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they had their own version of Constantine, so who knows. All right, so that wraps this up. As I said, when I'm recording this, it's like literally right after they announced this stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be some details that come out later that I missed, so I'm sorry if I did, but I just wanted to get this done right away, because it's just some fun news to talk about, and I honestly can't wait. There's some odd choices here and there, but that's kind of what's expected with James Gunn. Now, once again, this is only part of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. It's not the full thing yet, so this is probably only like half of it or something like that. I don't know. But I'm very intrigued about most, if not all, these. The only one I'm a little questioning is the Authority. That's the only one I'm a little iffy on. But like the rest of them, I'm interested in. So let me know what you think about all these projects. Are there any that you love, any that you hate? Are there any projects that you wish got announced but didn't? But of course, there's a possibility they could get announced in the future. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, I would love to see you all next time.
You